15 medieval vegetables you've never heard of but should be eating. Skirret, barrage, and rampion. No, these aren't characters from a forgotten fantasy novel, but culinary keystones of medieval kitchens. Once cherished by peasants and herbalists, alike these plants weren't just filler on a plate. They were the lifeblood of humble feasts and medicinal brews. Today, we're exhuming 15 overlooked edibles from the garden beds of history, each ready to reclaim its spot in the modern pantry. Spoiler: you might just discover your next favorite ingredient. Skirret, the sweet root of the soggy fields. Imagine a root so sugary and crisp, it earned the nickname, the candy of the Middle Ages. Enter skirret, a knobby, marsh-loving plant that rivaled carrots in both crunch and charm. Its tapering white roots were snacked on raw, simmered into stews, or roasted to amplify their nectarous bite. Skirret thrived where other crops failed, soaking up swampy terrain like a culinary sponge. As refined sugar became widespread, skirret wilted from popularity. But now its subtly sweet allure makes it ripe for reinvention in both savory dishes and avant-garde desserts. Barrage. The cucumber herb of courage, known today as barrage, this starry-petaled marvel once crowned the plates and potions of medieval cooks and healers. Its sky-blue blooms and cucumber-kissed leaves found their way into stews, spirits, and morale-boosting wines, particularly for warriors marching to battle. More than garnish, barrage was folklore and function blended into one. Though forgotten, for centuries its vivid blossoms now resurface in craft cocktails and haute cuisine, where aesthetics and herbal depth go hand in hand. Rampion. The fairy tale root. Ever heard of Rapunzel? The tale takes its name from rampion, a leafy green with spindly roots that graced both castle kitchens and countryside hearths. With mild, nutty undertones and delicate leaves, rampion flourished in poor soils and symbolized hope amid scarcity. Beyond nourishment, its starburst flowers were seen as talismans against malevolent spirits. Though modern agriculture left it behind, heritage gardeners are coaxing rampion back into the spotlight, a comeback rooted in both nutrition and nostalgia. 4. Alexander's, the monastery's pepper plant picture. A coastal herb with the peppery zip of celery and the resilience of a weed. That's Alexander's, or black lovage. This multi-use marvel seasoned broths, was pickled into zesty snacks, and even had its seeds ground into warming spice blends. Hardy and tenacious, Alexander's fed both monastic orders and seaside settlers. But as exotic imports seduced European palates, it was cast aside. Today it's ripe for a renaissance in sustainable local-centric cuisine. Good King Henry. The leafy underdog, despite its regal moniker, Good King Henry was a no-nonsense garden green. Sturdy, nutritious, and unassuming. Related to spinach and quinoa, it was a survival crop that kept families nourished during harsh winters. Boil its leaves, grind its seeds, every part had purpose. Once dismissed as peasant fare, it's now being reappraised for its gluten-free flour potential and vitamin-rich profile. Eating it today isn't just homage, it's a radical act of culinary conservation. Orache, the mountain. Spinach, also called mountain spinach, orache is a leaf that refused to quit, thriving in dry soils and stony beds. Its ruby and jade leaves added color to dishes centuries before food photography demanded it. Milder than spinach and less fussy to grow, it starred in pottages and was prescribed for tummy troubles. Now gourmet chefs are embracing its visual drama and mild flavor, giving this ancient green a 21st century stage. Parsnips, the pre-dessert dessert before sugar and chocolate reigned supreme. Parsnips were the medieval sweet treat of choice. Earthy and rich, they were often candied with honey or mashed into hearty puddings. These tapering roots outlasted winter's grip and offered flavor when little else did. While they've never quite disappeared, their legacy as the grandparent of dessert deserves more spotlight than the modern dinner table gives them. Salsify, the oyster of the earth. Salsify, nicknamed the oyster plant for its oceanic flavor, brought a taste of the sea to landlocked palates. It was grated, boiled or mashed into velvety soups that warmed bellies and imaginations. Herbalists claimed it rejuvenated the spirit and digestion alike. As potatoes stole the spotlight, salsify faded, but culinary creatives are now rekindling its creamy coastal magic in dishes like risotto and vegetable tempura. Crame, the shore's secret green crame or sea kale, clung to cliffs and coastlines like a salty sentinel. Its thick shoots, once tamed by blanching, added briny bite to medieval meals. Preserved in vinegar or stewed beside fish, crame embodied adaptability. Even its symbolism, strength in adversity, was apt. While long ignored, sea kale's resilience and umami edge have modern chefs clamoring for more. At sea kale, salt lover turned cult. Classic. Different from crame yet equally ocean-kissed, sea kale was a guardian of sailors, staving off scurvy and adding freshness to shipboard. Meals. Leaves were braised, roots ground, and its presence on ships was both culinary and spiritual. Though refrigeration pushed it off menus, sea kale's slightly nutty, asparagus-like flavor is winning back hearts in sustainable kitchens. Fat hen. The forager's spinach. What was once a weed is now a wonder. Fat hen, also called lambs, quarters, grew wild and free, feeding villagers with its mineral-rich leaves and protein-packed seeds. Its unpretentious nature made it both survival food and healer's ally. In a time when superfood is a buzzword, fat hen's rebirth feels less like a trend and more like overdue respect. Burdock, the root of folklore burdock, known in some circles as burdock, was more than a root. It was a rite of passage in the medieval kitchen. Its earthy richness grounded meals, and its medicinal properties gave it mythic status. Said to cleanse the blood and ward off evil, burdock bridged the worlds of nourishment and enchantment. While no longer mainstream in the West, it remains revered in Eastern cuisine and alternative medicine. Lovage. The bold whisper if celery had a louder, zestier cousin, it'd be lovage. This pungent herb elevated everything from bland broths to Lent-friendly stews. Its seeds made for dynamic spice blends, while its leaves added bite to the dullest greens. Lovage was as much a healer's tool as a cook's delight, and today it's the secret weapon of those wanting to awaken tired recipes. Chard, the garden's fireworks, before synthetic dyes and edible glitter, there was chard, flame-stemmed, crinkle-leafed, and full of flair. Its versatility made it a kitchen darling, stalks candied or pickled, leaves sautéed or stewed. Packed with nutrients and visual appeal, chard straddled the line between beauty and utility. While it fell into spinach's shadow, its staging, a colorful comeback in backyard plots and chef's gardens. Amaranth, the grain that refused to die a leaf, a seed, a lifeline. Amaranth is the shapeshifter of medieval crops. With spinach-like greens and seeds that could be toasted or milled, it was a famine fighter that thrived in stubborn soils. As wheat and barley industrialized European diets, amaranth was left behind. Today, its gluten-free grains and resilient growth are reclaiming shelves and sowing new hope for food sustainability, reviving the edible past. What if your next favorite meal isn't a food trend, but a time traveler from the past? These 15 medieval vegetables aren't just historical curiosities. They're a roadmap to a richer, more resilient diet. So which one would you bring into your kitchen? Will you roast burdock like a village herbalist, toss a rash into a modern salad, or experiment with amaranth flour in your sourdough? Whatever your choice, let history flavor your future. Because the past isn't buried, it's just waiting to be plated.